Hello, people. How you guys doing today? I am gonna make a little video about Jackie Robinson and Jackie Robinson Day, which was yesterday, which is my besides opening day, playoffs. I mean, it's from the regular season perspective, it is my favorite day in all of baseball. I love every aspect of everything that it means for not only baseball but for culture and the society that we live in. And it means a lot to me. I have always had a big affinity for the Brooklyn Dodgers, not the LA Dodgers. There's only one person I really like from the LA Dodgers, and he started in Brooklyn, but is not known as a Brooklyn Dodger. And I have followed a lot of it. I've read a couple books on the Brooklyn Dodgers, and I have obviously followed a lot of stuff around Jackie Robinson. And they have Jackie Robinson is the person that has probably my two prized possessions, or at least one of my prized possessions. The other one's pretty dang close. But years and years ago, I kind of started this I want to collect journey of really unique baseball artifacts. And I kind of started with this ball right here. It's pretty innocuous. It doesn't look like much. I'm not going to take it out of the case because it's quite delicate. So I'll try to do this right here, and hopefully it'll show up in the video. If not, I'll put there's a picture on my Instagram of it. This is a ball signed by Jackie Robinson from his Negro League days. I got this ball unauthenticated, and it took me a while to get it authenticated. I ended up having to send it to JSA, and JSA has a laser reader that they use that they can check and double check the validity of certain, as my dog's playing around, the validity of certain autographs, and then they can look underneath it to see what has been there before. So it's really cool. And this one came back as authentic. And it has, I don't keep it out. This one stays in the safe. And I get a very visceral reaction every time I actually physically hold this ball. As you see from the video, I'm kind of just staring at it. I don't take it out very often. I don't show it very often. It's very delicate, and I kind of want to tape or take it out, get a different case that doesn't have these stands on it. But yeah, so just to kind of, as that was a quick rant, I think that a lot of people that you ask across baseball, they really like this day. And, one of my favorite stories around it is from Jackie Robinson. Or not Jackie Robinson, is from Ken Griffey Jr. And Ken Griffey Jr., this is in the noughties. I think it was in the noughties, or maybe it was in the 90s. He wanted to honor Jackie Robinson and wear the number 42, and Bud Selig gave him permission. And then Ken Griffey Jr. was the first one to really do it. And then as years went on, it slowly started to change, and the day, started with Griffey, and then, certain players would wear it, and I forget how they articulated or how they decided who was going to wear it. And then now it is what it is today, which is every player on every team on April 15th, the day that Jackie Robinson made his debut, wears the number 42 on their back. It is, as most people who know baseball, it is very unique because it is the only jersey in all of baseball that is retired by every team. It is unanimously retired, and it's got, there are a couple, when was it retired? I think it was retired in the 90s, something like that, but there are several players that wore the number post its retirement and were essentially grandfathered in. And the most famous of them, the one that wore it last, was Mariano Rivera. And it's very fitting that the last Major League Baseball player to wear the number 42, it just so happens to be, the greatest closer in the history of baseball, and, is the only unanimous Hall of Famer in the Hall of Fame history. So it is very fitting. But, I think this day means a lot to me personally, for a lot of reasons, and I'll get into them, to some extent here. But the first and foremost is what Jackie Robinson really represents, and that is perseverance, and it is determination. I mean, I think that there are a lot of different adjectives that you can describe him with, but he went ahead and had to face things that no human being nowadays will ever understand. They can't contemplate the difficulties and the abuse and the harassment that Jackie Robinson had to deal with as he made his trek through the minors from 1945 to 1946, and then on April 15th, 1947, when he made the Major League roster, and was the first African-American player, or not even that, the first not white person to play in the modern era of baseball. If you're really in tune and understand the history of baseball, way, 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 way back, in the 1880s, 1870s, when baseball was first founded, black players and white players played together all the time. It was not uncommon to have a lot of them. And, there are a few of them. Ironically, one of the most famous, and I'm going to blank on his name, so don't ask me to quote it, was actually from Cooperstown. And there's another one who actually is from my parents' hometown, or where my parents live right now, which is in Williamstown, Massachusetts. And they are all now in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But I'll just do the history. It doesn't really matter to me. As segregation started to get, deeper and deeper rooted into our country at the turn of the 19th century or the 20th century, they started to create laws to ban black players from playing baseball. It was a form of segregation. It was not uncommon to have them in the same place. And then as that happened, black players were really forced out of baseball and had to create their own leagues. And these Negro leagues were some of the places that you saw some of the best baseball players that you've never heard of, and some of the best baseball players that you have heard of. And through the early 1900s or 1900 to 1945, when Jackie Robinson played in the minors, there were a lot of baseball players that were some of the best players you've never heard of, as I said, and all they did is they played in Negro leagues and they barnstormed. And what you don't know is when they barnstormed, a lot of the times they played alongside the white players from Major League Baseball. So a misconception is, the players like Babe Ruth and all that, they never faced these players. That is not 100% true. They never really faced these players in a competitive game that mattered in Major League Baseball, but they did play against each other in different aspects. And one of the most famous players of this that you will hear, there are lots of tales of this player playing against white baseball players, and his name was Satchel Paige. And Satchel Paige was widely regarded as the greatest African-American baseball player that never really did anything in major leagues. The other one besides that would be Josh Gibson. Both of them, current Hall of Famers, were never really able to express and show what they were able to do in their prime in front of a Major League Baseball crowd. And, they are known notoriously throughout history for how much damage they did during barnstorming events. And, if you, in Satchel Paige's book, one of Satchel Paige's books, he talks about how, the reason that Jackie Robinson was the one that made the jump and was able to actually break the color barrier, and they talk about it in the movie 42 as well, is that Jackie Robinson it was kind of the right place at the right time, and he was really the right guy to do it. I think that people like Satchel Paige were just too brash. They wouldn't have been able to deal with it, and they would have caused more harm than good in a lot of people's eyes. And Jackie Robinson, who was a four-sport athlete at UCLA, was in the Army and was just a really good baseball player, was kind of the right guy to make that transition. And it was not easy for him. And, one of the things that I appreciate most about Jackie Robinson is it's one thing to break the color barrier and have to deal with all the expectations, and it's a whole nother thing to then be as good as he was, right? Rookie of the year, an MVP, won the World Series in 1955 with the Dodgers, led the Dodgers to the World Series against the Yankees in the first year that he played. And, I think that a lot of players will look to Jackie Robinson as not only transcendent in the way that he handled coming into baseball, but in some of the things that he did. One of the great quotes, I think it was 1945, but the Dodgers and the Yankees played in a lot of World Series against each other. But I think it was 1945 when Jackie Robinson stole home plate against the Yankees in Game 1. Forget what it was. Don't quote me. But, that moment was a huge moment in baseball because it's, first of all, an iconic photo, unbelievable against the Yankees. But, Yogi Berra loved to bitch and complain and basically say, if he didn't have to hold it and do the two hands to catch the ball as opposed to having a hinge in his mitt, he would have gotten Jackie Robinson out. But, that's neither here nor there. History has written it otherwise. But, as someone who has dealt with, a lot of adversity in his life, I personally, I look to Jackie Robinson as an inspiration, right? I never have had to go through it's not even remotely close to what he's had to go through, or he had to go through in his life. But, I struggled with a lot of demons. I still struggle with a lot of demons. I've had, not the best last few years, and I always look and I try to find things that help me figure out perspective, right? Perspective is an unbelievable thing. And this past Sunday, again, same but different, Rory McIlroy having to struggle and having all of his struggles at the Masters and then be able to come through those struggles to the other side and know that, this too shall pass. There will be a better side at the end of it. It's something that I really look to. And, my connection with the Brooklyn Dodgers also goes deep into my family. I mean, I think that my grandmother and her family is from Brooklyn, and they actually had a bar where a lot of the Brooklyn Dodgers would meet. And this is years of figuring this out for my family. But my great aunt ended up having, let's just say, relations with a couple of the Brooklyn Dodgers, and one of them ended up being the guy that Jackie Robinson. I found this out well after my my love for Jackie Robinson, my love for the Brooklyn Dodgers. One of them actually ended up being Jackie Robinson's close friend on the team. Both of his close friends on the team, actually, Gil Hodges and Pee Wee Reese. And they talk about people that make impacts. And obviously Jackie Robinson made an impact, that goes without saying, but there are people that helped him along the way that, were not only unbelievable baseball players, unbelievable people. And it's very nice to know that I, through my family, have some sort of a connection with these people. And, with having that relationship with Pee Wee Reese, I think it's pretty much guaranteed that my grandmother, my great grandfather, and my great aunt, I forget how you describe her, have met Jackie Robinson in the past, and that just kind of means a lot to me. And that's actually what this ball is right here. So this is the prized possession that I have, but I have a list of things that I want to collect in my lifetime. And this was high on the list, and I actually was able to get this last year. It's a little unique, but you kind of take what you can get, right? It has a nice little artistic piece done of Jackie Robinson on the front, and then on the back it is signed by Jackie Robinson, but it is also signed by Pee Wee Reese. And there are very few examples that I have really been able to find of a ball that is just signed by the two of them. And I think it's very poetic to have a ball signed by the two of them. I really wish that it was underneath each other or something, but it's kind of weird. Like, right, head of Jackie there, that, and then you kind of got to rotate the ball and do a little flip, and there's Pee Wee. But I always have this up. I feel no qualms. This one I always keep hidden for quality, et cetera, et cetera. If I want to keep it out, I can, but I just like to have this hidden because it's very valuable, and I don't want anything to impact it. This one I do keep out, but I do not display the autograph. I just display, the picture of Jackie Robinson, and then if anybody wants to ask, I then answer the questions. But I do not really like to put this one out, and I do that because the autograph is then facing the wall, so I'm not really worried so much about any fading on it. As well as this is a nice little UV case. You can get these cases for like $9 on Amazon. They are great. 99% UV protection. Not a pitch, but neither here nor there. But so I, because of my, connection that I and my family has with the Dodgers, my affinity for Jackie Robinson, I like these. I started this last year. I'm going to hopefully continue it this year. And I like to get team autograph jerseys and or game used jerseys from that day. And this is the Rockies from last year. As you can see, it's got, all the Rockies. This is a team issued jersey with the number 42. If you didn't know, they don't change the number 42 depending upon the team. It is always in Dodgers blue. And you can see that because this is blue, and it also has the Rockies purple on it, which sometimes can look a little weird when the jersey is not really meant to have blue on it. I think one of the ones that looks the sickest, to be honest, is the Red Sox because it kind of fits, right, with the little blue in there, and it kind of rocks as I'm watching the Red Sox game right now. But yeah, so I just, the day yesterday, I was really upset that the Rockies weren't home because I really love to attend the game. It is one of the only games, if not the only game, I go to all year where I wear my Jackie Robinson Brooklyn Dodgers jersey that I have. I wore this all day yesterday. I've worn it most of the day today as well because I'm just, wow, what a play. Yeesh. That was unbelievable throw. He threw it right on the bag. We're going to see if that was out. But yeah, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, this day means a lot to a lot of people. And, Jackie Robinson had the quote, and I will not get the quote right, but I'll do my best, which is, a person's life is essentially nothing except for the impact that it has on other people. And, there's nobody that, made a quote like that and actually lived that quote as Jackie Robinson has. And, from someone that, struggles a lot with a lot of different things and, has done a lot to kind of improve my mental state, my outlook on life, the way that I handle certain situations. I aspire to be, as impactful on other people's lives as, Jackie Robinson was. You know, if I can impact one person's life the way that he's impacted mine, from someone that's never met him, you know, I know that I lived a good life. And, you know, I love every time I go to Cooperstown, I go and I if you don't think I do a little kiss of Jackie Robinson's plaque, then you do not know me at all. And, you know, the Souls of the Game, which is the new, they changed, they did a new, why am I blanking on the word? Exhibit, there we go, at the Baseball Hall of Fame. They had replaced an old one and they'd done a new one, which is the Souls of the Game, which kind of just talks about the whole aspect of, you know, African Americans and black players in baseball throughout history, and then how that has then changed into, you know, not just black players, but, you know, all the players from, you know, the Dominican, from Cuba, from Venezuela, that have all come and played baseball. You know, they can directly come back to Jackie Robinson and his impact. And so I just wanted to make this quick little video, talk a little bit about the day, you know, what it means to me. You know, I'm hopefully next year the Rockies will be at home, so I can go to the game and I can pay my respects to a man that is just bigger than life. Let's just call it that. So thank you. My last thoughts, you know, if you know, everybody's got something, nobody's perfect. Everybody's got stuff that they have to deal with. But, you know, if you can find a way to make yourself a little bit better and look at certain people that have impacted lives and how, you know, they have helped others grow and have been, you know, not just good for others, but good for themselves, you can always find a way. And, you know, if anybody needs to hear it, I'll tell you this too shall pass. So, you know, happy days, happy baseball. I'm glad that we honor Jackie Robinson every single year now on April 15th. And I look forward to adding a couple new 42 jerseys to my collection. I have a couple in mind. I'm not going to share them with you guys until later. Hopefully they come to fruition. I've already been in contact with a couple of my sources to try to figure it out. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm happy that I have one, and this one means a lot to me. This one definitely means a lot to me. I wish the quality of the signatures were a little better, but, you know, what are you going to do? But thanks, guys, for joining me, and I will, I'm going to do another video probably later this week on some other stuff, but thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.